Hi, everybody. Thank you for joining today's Stay Connected webinar. It's nice to see all of you. We really appreciate your interest in the topic and taking the time to be here today. So we are excited to continue our Stay Connected webinars focused on helping you plan for your summer program. And today's topic focuses on how to embed reading into your summer program, either one-on-one or small groups or through the clubs that you offer. And we're excited that today I'll let our speakers introduce themselves, but we have Dr. Abby Burke from NDE, who is a reading specialist. Nancy Armstrong is the co-director at the Ogallala After School Program, and Holly Myers is the director in Luke City. So thank you very much for sharing information and your experiences with everybody. Abby, I think, is going to take it away. I'm going to mute myself and look forward to hearing what our presenters want to talk about today.
All right. Hi, everybody. I'm Abby Burke, and I'm the reading specialist with the Nebraska Department of Education. And I'm excited to see all of you across the state of Nebraska. Makes me feel less isolated, knowing that I'm working across the state today. So I'm in Omaha, Nebraska right now with my dog at my feet here. She does snore, so she's a pug. So you might hear her. That's just what we do over here. Kim, can you see my Nebraska Reads website?
Are you sharing your screen?
So, but maybe not.
Don't
Let me click
see it
share
yet.
screen again. Okay. I'm going to try it one more time. Share screen.
Yeah, it looks like it's going now. Yes.
Okay.
You're there.
All right. All right. So I'm going to share, and feel free. I think there are, 15 of us. Feel free to just unmute if you have a question. I'm totally comfortable with that. Kim is going to monitor the chat because I'm not as good at multitasking in terms of following the chat while sharing information on my screen. So she's going to jump in whenever. I want to share with you just some resources that might be helpful as you think about your summer programming, and to be honest with you, beyond that, but I'm going to try and stay focused on summer because that just sounds so delightful to think about summer right now. As I said before, I'm Abby Burke, and I'm the reading specialist at the Nebraska Department of Education. And I wanted to share this resource that's on the Nebraska Reads website with you. So I'm just going to walk you, take you on a walk through this resource that you might consider using. So I'm going to scroll down to Read at Home Plan and click here. And there are lots of different things on this page, but there's one thing in particular that I think might be of interest to the work that you're all doing. So I'm going to scroll down here. I often have groups like after school programs or volunteers come to me and say, hey, what would you suggest I do? I'm not a certified teacher, but I'd like to be able to do either one-on-one work with a child, or I can do small group or even a big group. Do you have some activities that I could do to support kiddos as they're developing readers? So here are just a wealth of activities that you might do with children. If you're working closely with their classroom teacher, you might even say to the classroom teacher, is there a particular area that might be helpful for me to target? And they might say something like phonological awareness, and you might say, I'm not really sure I know what that is. So you could go to this document and click on phonological awareness. It provides you a definition of phonological awareness. Phonological awareness to me is really that playing with sounds. You know, when little kiddos are just learning to read and discover words and discover sounds. We play those little word game and word activities with them. It might not necessarily be reading about them, like having it in print, but just hearing that, hearing sounds, syllables, beginning sounds, end sounds. And then, so here's a definition. And then here are just a wealth of activities that you could do. You know, if you have a high school student that's going to be tutoring at your summer program, or you have just an opportunity where you have some of your employees are able to do some small group activities, they could go to this site. And for example, here is a bunch of rhyming activities. And if you want to really see it in action, I also love this, that you can click on a link and actually see a parent or caregiver doing the activity. So in this activity, it says, create picture cards with pairs of rhyming words, separate the cards into 2 separate piles with 1 word from each pairing in opposing piles, and then you play this rhyming game with them. But if you click on this video, you can actually see what that would look like. Because sometimes you're like, I don't know if I'm doing this game right. I'm not sure if this looks right. But if you watch this video, it will really highlight how this can actually be done with a student. I know my own daughter works, she's a freshman in college, and she works at an after-school program. And I can see this benefiting her because she doesn't necessarily have those skills of a teacher, but if she saw how this activity was done, I think that would really help her if she were to work with a small group of students or one-on-one with a child in the after-school program. So there's phonological awareness, phonics. So you could click to the phonics activities. And then here's a definition of phonics. And then just again, a wealth of activities that you could do with students to support aspects of phonics. And then again, lots of videos that you could do. And then there are also fluency activities, vocabulary activities, and comprehension activities. So this is web-based. You could also print it out. Actually, I'm going to scroll down to the bottom. I'm going to look away so you don't get dizzy. Just to highlight this, this document, the PDF, is can be accessed in Spanish, Arabic, Korean, Somali, and Vietnamese, and English. So if you know some folks that might want this resource in a different language, you could guide them to this site. So that was the first thing I wanted to share with you. So I'm just going to stop, and I want to give you a chance to ask a question related to this. So I'll pause. All right, Kim, do we have anything in the chat? Okay. All right, now my next question is, how might you, knowing that I've shared this resource with you, how might you use this in your context? And I'm asking this so we can get creative and really think about what are some ways that you could use this. So you've already seen this document, you've seen the resource. What are you going to do now, or what could you do now? So I'll pause, and I'm really good at pausing because I am a teacher. So I'm totally okay with think time.
Hi, Abby, this is Sandy, and I'm also in Omaha today. Hey, I was just thinking, so I work for Beyond School Bells, and first thing I'm going to do is make sure that I get this out into all of the hands of our pilot sites. We have 12 pilot sites that just started with after school. Actually, some of them had planned to start this summer, and COVID shot that right out of the water. But I want to make sure that my new 12 sites, as well as our 13 coalition sites, have this, because I'm going to suggest, besides their staff using it, I really see this as being a great thing to share at a family night. Parents will go bonkers when they see this. This is so cool. Thank you for sharing this.
Sure. And thank you for sharing how you'll use it. Can one more person share how they might, what they might do with this new information?
I can share. Oh, sorry. I put it in the chat as well, but in Plattsmouth, we do a lot of the kids do a lot of presentations. It's a after school program for the middle school. And right now they don't do a lot of practicing before they do the poetry reading or the choral reading or whatever it is that they're doing. So I think maybe we could have them do it a couple different times and just keep mentioning the word fluency or prosody so that they know what that means, so that they can work on those skills. And I have loved your resources from the beginning, and it's exciting to see how much you've added to it. So
good. Oh, good. And if you ever have any suggestions or, feel like there's a hole somewhere, please don't hesitate to contact me and we'll see what we can do.
I have
All right.
one.
Oh, go ahead.
I think we'd probably use this with we have high school mentors coming in, and they could work with our littles on their phonic sounds and their vowel sounds, and just kind of getting the sounds in there so that the beginning of reading could maybe put the two together.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And, those high school, I also have a high schooler, so I can say this, love my high schoolers. Sometimes it's a little awkward, like, how do I work with this little youngster? And so just being able to see a video of the activity beforehand, they're really 2 to 3 minute videos, but just to see how it can be natural can really help with their efficacy as they're working with those littles. All right, so I'm going to switch gears and I want to share something else with you, some things to think about. So let's see. Kim, can you see my my preventing the summer slide? Awesome. Yay, I'm really proud of myself that my technology is working. So I want to talk a little bit about at the last meeting, and to be honest with you, Kim, my meetings are starting to mix together. Was it a Stay Connected meeting that we had recently, or was it our other group?
You joined the last Stay Connected.
Okay,
but you
okay, good.
joined some other groups too.
Okay, it was, okay, so when I met with the group, the last Stay Connected group, there was a big discussion about enrichment programs. And I think somebody shared about a couple of grants that are available for their enrichment programs. And I got really excited about those and thinking about what is my role in supporting those enrichment programs. So I got to thinking about the role of literacy and what literacy plays in those enrichment programs. I think sometimes we see those as sort of separate, but because I consistently have my literacy lens on, I'm always thinking about how can we integrate literacy into this. I think one of the examples of the grant was a school garden. So I got really excited to think about how can we really leverage literacy throughout. And when I think about literacy, I define it not just as reading the print, but also writing about it, listening, speaking, and communicating. So at the top of this slide right here, it's there's a little one that's reading, there's another one that's writing, listening, and speaking. So as you're thinking about your enrichment programs, be thinking about how can I really highlight and leverage those 4 aspects of literacy. And why do we want to do that? Well, because research shows that there's a summer slide, and that means there's often a decline in reading ability or other academic skills that can occur over the summer months when school isn't in session. There's a lot of research to support that. And so we know that supporting children over the summer can help prevent that, as well as potentially accelerate learning over the summer. So that's one of our big goals, I think, of our summer programming is how do we continue not only just to have students have a safe place to be, but also to accelerate their learning. So keeping with the theme of the garden, I found this picture, and to me, it looks like they're doing some sort of garden. So I want you just to think to yourself, what's some evidence of literacy that you see within there? So we're not going to share out, just consider, knowing what you know about this, what does it look like? What does it sound like if you were there? And how would you know that there was reading, writing, listening, and speaking going on there? All right, so I shared this picture with Kim the other day, and I said, so Kim, how do you know literacy is happening here? And she said, well, there's print, there's text, there's a big poster. She said, I would suspect that there's talking going on. There's talking about the garden that they're creating. She said there's probably writing going on because you can see that kids have paper on that blue tarp. So there's some sort of writing going on. So there's, it's clearly, just by looking at this picture, we know it's more than just a garden. It's a garden that's rich in literacy development.
In the comment or in the
Yep.
chat, someone said it looks like the students are answering questions.
Mhm.
And I like that they're using icons or images, not just words, a different type of literacy.
Yes, definitely. Yeah, that drawing is a rich part of the literacy developments, the stages of literacy development. So drawing about academics also supports literacy as well as academic areas. So as you're thinking about your enrichment activities, one of the things I would suggest you do is to think about, are you reading about the topic? So I have here a slide. There are so many books about gardens and plants and things like that. So if you decide that your program is going to have a garden, I highly suggest you go to either your school library or your public library, or have kids bring in books and say, hey, does anybody have any books at home about gardening? Let's bring them in tomorrow and share those books with them. So here's just a few of the many, many books about gardens. Your summer enrichment program may not be about gardens. Perhaps it's about Legos. There are lots of books about Legos. Your summer enrichment program could be, I don't know, somebody shout one out. Just
Animals.
Oh yeah, tons of books about animals. So if it's a mammal or insect, I mean, you can really dig down to find just so many perfect books for whatever topic that you're working on. So be thinking about, how can I read about a topic? The kids are going to play with Legos today. Well, let's read about Legos first. The kids are going to use Legos. So let's get out the directions and let's learn how to read the directions. The directions for Legos, when my son was younger, were really tricky for my husband. So he might need a little bit of support with that. So teach them how to navigate that. For some reason, my son didn't have as much trouble with the directions, but my husband did. But directions can be really hard to navigate. That technical writing and technical reading is really tricky. So teach kids how to do that technical writing. All right, so as you're doing your enrichment activities, also think about how you can connect reading and writing. So here's just an example. This is a garden book. It's called Tops and Bottoms. It's a hilarious book. It actually opens from, it doesn't open like your traditional book, it opens up and down because the animals are growing vegetables, but as we know, some vegetables grow above ground and some grow below the ground. And so you could read this book and then talk about it and write about it. I know, knowing what I know about classrooms, I can tell that this chart that we often call an anchor chart, it sort of anchors what we're thinking about. The teacher did the writing, and I suspect that the children did the communicating, and then he or she modeled how to write the topic. You could also, I call it share the pen, where you say, okay, let's, who remembers what some of the vegetables were that grow above ground? Oh, broccoli, that's right. Do you want to come up and write that and add that to our chart? And then you've got some kids, you know, a fifth grader that's completely proficient. I actually don't know how to spell broccoli. I always spell it wrong. So probably not the best example, but they know how to write, you know, spell the word beans. So you have a fifth grader come up and write it. And then if you had a kindergartner come up and write corn, you would go through that process of, okay, corn, what does that start with? Or what do you hear next? Look at your mouth and have that conversation with them about how to write that word. So you're really developing that phonemic awareness as well as phonics, as well as science. So there's another example to be always thinking about, and I'm always thinking about how can I connect this activity that I'm reading about and also write about it.
Abby,
Yes.
I don't know if you can see the chat, but Maggie Peterson with the Omaha Public Libraries on the webinar. And I don't know, Maggie, if do you want to unmute yourself, or I could read what
Oh,
you
yay.
wrote.
I love to hear it from a librarian.
Yeah.
Some of my
Hi.
favorite people.
Hello. Here, I'm going to start my video. I had myself. Oh, there we go. Hi. I had just put into the chat box. At Omaha Public Library, we actually offer a custom reading service. You fill up the link that I put into the chat box and just give us some basic information like what ages you're looking for. So if you're doing gardening, telling us that you're looking for a variety of garden books, and we will actually make you a custom made list off of whatever parameters that you give us. And then we can also actually just automatically place some of those books on hold for you if you like. That's another option you can indicate in that form.
Maggie, do you mind if we post that link with the recording of the webinar?
Oh yeah, absolutely, please.
Thanks for sharing that.
Yeah.
Excellent. Thank you. That's exciting. And I suspect if your school libraries are open during the summer, they may have a similar service. All right.
And Holly actually is the school librarian, so I bet she can talk a little more about that.
Yes,
Oh,
I
yes.
can.
All right. Oh, good. Another thing I always think about when I am thinking about enrichment is the role of drawing and writing, because we know that there's a lot of research to show that drawing is also a way to support literacy development. So here's just a couple examples. My high school daughter, or my college daughter's leaving. She's just home for the night. Bye. All right. This is a science notebook. The students are documenting change over time from their garden, and they're drawing pictures, they're recording it. Lots of science going on in this activity, studying a phenomena and then recording it and writing about it, labeling it. So just, again, two examples of considering the role that drawing and writing play in the work that you're doing. You could even do this with Legos. So after the kids have created something, let's draw a picture of it from this angle or that angle. How are you going to make this look three-dimensional? Or what if you just looked at it from one side? What would the drawing look like? And then, bonus, at the end of the day, when mom and dad comes to pick up their kiddo, and you say, what did you do today? And they said, nothing. You can actually say, oh, I made Legos, and here's the drawing that I made of it. And then you can talk about the technical drawing that goes into drawing those Legos. And definitely talk about the topic. Talking about the topic helps develop deepening our understanding of the academic topic, as well as developing literacy. It's a lot easier. There are specific things that you'll want to think about to help you to create situations where you're going to talk about it. For example, in this picture right here, it says salsa garden, and it's just prominently displayed in the front of the garden. So imagine if a parent were walking up and they saw that sign and then said, oh, you're making a salsa garden? Segue into a really rich conversation. So just by having this print-rich environment up can help lend itself to that. And here's another picture to help you think about writing about a topic and just considering how can I always ensure that there's a way to address literacy in an activity. And then integrating the topic across the academic areas. So you've got your school garden. What role does science, social studies, math, and reading play? Here's a perfect example. Making salsa after you've planted and grown your garden. Now we've got a salsa garden. Now we can make salsa. All right, so I have a short video I'm going to share. As you're watching, and I want you to be thinking about what could you do with an enrichment program that you're going to have this summer to be intentional about integrating literacy? Kim, can you see the video? Okay. So the kids are getting ready to start a garden. So they're studying farms.
Today we are going to be planting parsley as farmers. We have our potting soil and we have our plants ready to go. We are making a milk jug garden. So all of our milk jugs are ready to go. And that's what we're going to be doing today. Scoop and fill, do it all the way across the bottom. Good job, good farmers. Yep, I'll tell you when, you keep going. Good farmers need lots of good soil for their plants, don't they?
So she's using that academic language and talking to him the entire time he's working on
There's
this.
a lot in there. Okay. Now what we're going to do is we need to put some of our plant. Okay.
I love this
See, this is
interaction
the
here.
bottom of our plant. And what do you see? What do you think all those white things are? Aiden, turn your jug around for me. There you go. What do you think all those things are in there? The white things. Point to them for me. See them? What do you think all those are?
Seeds?
Those aren't the seeds. Do you know what they are?
Food.
That's not the food. Those white hairy things are actually the roots. And that's what takes the water and stuff that we'll give our plant all the way up here. What are these things? Do you see?
So can you imagine if she would not have asked that really small question of, what are all these little white things? He said seeds. He said food. So just by asking that one little question, she is able to explain to him that it's called a root. So she's developing his vocabulary, its purpose. What is the purpose of the roots? To take in food so that it can go up the stem into the leaves. So by having that interaction is helping him to learn the content about science, as well as, again, develop literacy.
See the stems? Go ahead and point. Which part is the stems? Yeah, those are the stems. And what part do you think are the leaves? Yeah, right there. Good job. Are you both ready to be farmers? Okay. Okay, because we're going to plant. Here we go. I put lots of soil in there. We want to keep that plant in there. Pack it down in there. You can reach your hand in there a little bit. Good work. We have lots of soil, so it's okay.
That's good.
All right, I think that's good too. So now the next thing we need is we need to give our plant what? We're going water. So here's the water jug. See the water jug? Take my little water jug. Flip open the white cap. Okay, and then you're going to give it a little drink. It doesn't need too much. That should be good. Good work, Farmer Ty.
Same way you wrote that
Then, of course, you want to write about it.
In the same way with plants.
Read what you're going to write again.
I'm Morgan.
What word are you going to write, Morgan?
I'm going to write about my plant needs sun.
Good job. I think that's a great sentence.
I did too.
I like your picture. I like how you labeled it. Can you point to what you labeled for me? What is that down there in the bottom of your pot?
This
Roots. Yep, those are the roots. What other part do you see?
the leaves,
Mm-hmm.
then the stem.
Very good. I like your picture. Can you tell me what you have so far? To describe your plant? Read me the whole thing.
This is my plant. It has roots to it.
Very nice. That first T, can you point to that T in this? What do you need to do to that T in this? Do you see it? Yeah, thank you. Good work.
So she picked one little teaching move to make, and it was a capital letter at the beginning of a sentence. There are a bunch of other errors, but it's always a good idea to, identify one teaching point in the work that they're doing to support them and give them feedback. All right, so based on my work with you for the last, I think, half an hour, would somebody be willing to finish this sentence stem? I used to think, but now I know, and I commit to, all based on our time together for the last half an hour. Somebody be willing to?
I will.
Thanks.
I used to think literacy was just reading, but now I know it's a lot more than that. I commit to incorporating literacy into activities other than reading.
Thanks, Holly.
Abby, thank you so much for the great information and examples. Holly, do you want to go ahead and?
Sure. Yep.
And Abby, I hope you don't mind, I put your email address in the chat.
Oh,
People
yeah.
want to reach out to you.
That's wonderful. If somebody wants to email me about literacy, that would be great.
Okay, so actually while Abby was presenting, this popped into my head that my son has this notebook, and this is actually from like 5 years ago. He was in first grade when he did this, but he has this little notebook where they draw a picture on the top and then write on the bottom. This sentence has no punctuation, capitals in the middle. I mean, his picture is pretty, it's first grade work. But then by the end of the year, and the great thing about these notebooks is you can see their progress. Like you can see that this was what he did in September. This is what he did in May. The writing is so much better, the punctuation, everything. I just thought about that while Abby was talking about drawing and writing, how they all go hand in hand. Other things like Kim said, I am the school librarian as well as ASP director, but use your librarian as a resource. If you're going to do baking, ask them for books about baking or cooking, or gardening, animals. I am in a very rural area, so right now would be a great time to read a book about lambs and have a farmer bring some baby lambs in, or baby calves, or any of the spring babies that are around. The community college in Ord, which I also happen to work at, does an entomology class every summer, and which is bugs. My son gets mad at me when I call it bug camp because it's entomology. But I was thinking about talking to her and seeing if she could come in and do some lessons over the summer, and we can get books on that and read those too. I grabbed a few books from the library. You could do something like The Duckling Gets the Cookie and bake cookies. Or if you wanted to spread it out for a few weeks, you could do a moose a muffin, a dog a donut, a cat a cupcake, pig a pancake, and mouse a cookie, and bake something different every week. Read the story with the kids, have them read the recipe, double the recipe, cut the recipe in half, any of those things, because you're incorporating reading, math, all that into all those activities. For this year, our activities have been a lot of make and take, just because we can't play board games and we can't build with the sets because then everybody's touching the same things. So we've been doing a lot of make and take, but you can do like winter words or names out of snowflakes or name artwork. In March, at some point here, I want to do some rainbow writing. And for the little ones, I was thinking maybe doing a worksheet and then putting some March words on it and then have them trace every word in a different color or just write different words in different colors. With the gardening, at the end of the year, we are planning on making some bee planters out of recycled aluminum cans. We can read a book about recycling. We can read a book about how bees help plants. We can write a book about gardening. And like, that's going to be like our last project to take home, home for the summer. The other day, we actually did an activity called Rhymes for Recess. And the very first thing in the chat is a video clip. It's only a minute. The original video was 5 minutes, but it wouldn't upload. So it's just a quick 1 minute video. And what I did is I wrote some pretty simple words on the board because it was for K2. And I said, okay, I want you to tell me a word that rhymes with one of these words. And if they were sitting quietly, waiting patiently, then they told me a rhyme. I wrote it on the board. They went out to recess. So that was kind of a fun way for them to like see the words. And if they said that one was already up there, you're just, oh, we already have that word. Let's think of another word, and then yesterday too, we had the kids, we didn't write them on the board, but we just said, when they did their coloring sheet and when they were done with that, they brought it to one of his teachers. I said, okay, say a word that rhymes with cat, because they all had their Dr. Seuss stuff on. So we thought we'd do cat and hat because, that was fresh in their minds. So they just had to tell us a rhyme and then they could go outside and play. And then also yesterday, the other teacher did puffy paint. So they were writing all our blacktop is just covered with words that the kids wrote out there on the blacktop with puffy paint. So, and whether they're writing their name or other words, one of the teachers wrote, I love Mrs. Brown, who's one of the other teachers who had just helped her on some homework. So she, how do you spell this? We're like, oh, sound it out. So, I mean, anything where they're writing or reading or doing anything like that, if you're doing homework time, helping them with their math, have them read the math problems because it's still literacy. And I can't say it enough. Use your librarian. I am the school librarian, but our library is public and school. So I still, as a librarian, I still ask the public librarian all the time, what do you think about this? What do you think about this? What could, so you use that resource because it's a very helpful resource. And librarians usually tend to go above and beyond. Like if you ask them for a book, you're probably going to get 5. So that's just how it works. So use that resource, definitely.
Thank you, Holly. Great information. Appreciate it. Nancy, thanks for sharing also. You're muted. There you go.
So working now?
Mhm.
Okay, I'm just going to go ahead and just jump right in here quick about some possibilities to do some read aloud activities in after school programs, summer programs, and then in the family home, which is what I'm going to focus on mostly. And the presentation that Abby Burke did, those activities are all things that can be done in the home too by parents, by older siblings. So that's another great resource for it. But I'm going to share my screen by, let's see, pressing some button, right? On the bottom here. So did that share? Okay. Okay, can you see the picture on the screen?
Yes, we see it now.
So I just want to show you really the end of this project and what these kids have received a treasure trove. And they got the treasure trove because they read 25 sessions with their family members together for 25 days for 20 minutes. And then they received these treasure boxes so that they could put their books in it. And that's the end of the program. The beginning of the program really, yeah, here it is. Read together at home with their families, 25 days for 20 minutes. And the reason I picked that was because it becomes a habit then. So if they're doing it then, maybe they can go ahead and continue it now as part of their routine. So in the summertime, I don't know how long everybody's programs run, but maybe you could do something along those lines to get the family involvement. And this project was started in April of, well, I guess it started in 2019 before COVID. So some things have to be adjusted and changed, but what we call ours is Treasure Trove. And the motto is reading books ignites your brain and rewards you sparkling treasures. And everybody's familiar with the older 1985 Becoming a Nation of Readers research that said reading aloud children is the single most important activity for success in reading. Abby, is that still true? I hope.
Yes, it is.
Okay, so I didn't find any more current ones, but that one is a go-to. But kind of just to add up everything, we had, the students reading, we had 2 people reading last year after school in the after school program. And, when you add up all the numbers, there was a lot of kids being exposed to a lot of vocabulary, and it was super fun for everybody. I won't go into this too much, but our routine was pretty much, we had a designated person that would do read aloud to different age groups or different rooms. So like on Monday, we're with the purple group, and that was kindergarten. So went in, books were selected by the school librarian, which I also, like Holly, happened to be the school librarian. So tried to get the same things that the teachers were working on in their classroom, or just fun books about, anything, fiction, nonfiction, Caldecott, poetry, all different kinds. So that was super fun. And then what happened is the kids wanted more. And so when the program, like other people were leaving, they'd say, oh, can we have bonus reads? And so they would come in and to the reading room and have bonus reads. And the kids that were in the IRIP plans, individual reading improvement plans, I always tried to go around and make sure that I was pulling those kids in for some of the extra literacy skill time. And it just, that one-on-one with those kids, they could ask questions. You could help with vocabulary, explaining it. It was a lot of fun. And then we were able to do 2 family reading events where we gave out read aloud tips, like from the Nebraska Read Aloud site, Read Aloud 15 minutes, some really good resources there. And of course, we supplied some pizza and cookies. And what was really fun about that, then they all got to pick out books together. So while I was talking to the parents, the paras in the after school program were doing an activity with the kids. So that had to do with literacy or the book they were reading. And so that was super fun as well. And we did that on an evening and then on a Saturday too. Another big thing that made this program successful was funding. We did get a expanded learning opportunity grant from it goes through the 21st Century Program. Jan can always help you with this, but this year it was, if you were in the 6th year of the program. And so we started off with that seed money, but we were able to also have like the Kiwanis Club and the Optimists. I went in and told them about our after school program, and like the next week, they gave me 300 gently used books for students' libraries at home. So already, I mean, it made an impact, like, oh, we're going through our kids' books, Friends of the Library gave us books. I wrote a grant for that donorschoose.org for some more books. So the big thing was trying to get the books into the kids' hands so they had something to read. And in retrospect, now that I look at it, our kids had books at home when the library was closed. So when, COVID came around and they couldn't go, we had already supplied them with, over probably 100 books that year. So you never know what books in the house can do for kids. Again, I'll just say what Holly said, just because school and community librarians are great resources. Reach out to them with the topics. They'll have them ready for you. Read aloud picture books as a daily activity. Also, you can ask your principals and your teachers and curriculum directors if they have supplemental books when they change their reading curriculum, and most schools do it about every 5 years. You can ask them, can you just have their old, can you have their books? And then you can just make sure those get redistributed to the kids' homes. So those are some ideas of things that have been working for us. And the kids, like I said, they're super excited about reading. The parents are happy. The other day, a kid told his dad, come back in 30 minutes, I'm reading. So I thought, ooh, okay. So any questions for me?
What great ideas and resources. I'm so excited about literacy, offering literacy activities in such a meaningful, engaging way during your summer programs. Information was really fantastic. So thanks so much to Abby and Holly and Nancy, and we'll make sure that you all know how to get in touch with them if you have questions. And I know any of them are just so excited about what they're doing and would love to answer your questions or help you as you implement some of these activities in your summer program. So Abby, do you mind if we post your PowerPoint with the recording? And if you've been on one of our webinars before, you know about saving the chat. There's some really great links in the chat. So go down to the chat box, and on the right, there's 3 little dots. If you click on that, you can save the chat to your computer. So thank you very much to all of you who joined today. Really appreciate it. Really excited. Ready for
Tim.
summer, right?
I don't know how to save the chat on my iPad. Can you possibly email it to me?
I will do that. I'll save it and
That's the only way I can get on Zoom. So
yeah, I don't know if you can from an iPad or not.
yeah,
Yeah,
I don't
I'll
know.
send it.
Okay, thanks.
All right. Yeah. Thanks very much, everyone.
Thank you.
Have a great day, great week.
You too.
Thanks, Kim.
You guys were fantastic.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Really great examples and enthusiasm for literacy. And I always get excited about reading and writing and all of that. School day, after school, summer, whenever, wherever.
Yeah.
I appreciate you sharing your enthusiasm.
You bet.
Thank you.
I
Thanks for
can't
setting
end
it up.
this.
Yeah. Talk to you soon.
Thanks.